Safm, South Africa's news and information leader.
Top stories at the Sawa. All work on toll roads halted and a post-mortem on Gaddafi's body confirms cause of death. Good afternoon. With the news at 3 o'clock, I'm Lulu Gabu. Transport Minister Safm3pm Ndebele has instructed the South African National Roads Agency Limited to halt all work on toll roads. His spokesperson, Tiani Rukotso, says the move is aimed at creating time for consultations with communities that will be affected by the construction of tolls. The construction of tolls around the N1 in Gauteng has caused an uproar with various bodies threatening strikes over the issue. However, Rukotso has cautioned that the toll roads that have already been constructed will be used.
The consultative process that's currently being conducted by the Gauteng provincial legislature should get us somewhere in terms of determining what the best formula will be for basically servicing that particular debt that has been incurred. But with regard to future projects such as the Cape Winelands, the minister believes that there's supposed to be a thorough consultative process.
Ndebele also says the man who allegedly killed 5 pedestrians who were jogging in Midrand yesterday must be charged with murder and not culpable homicide. He says other charges should include driving under the influence if it can be conclusively proven that the driver was drunk at the time of the crash. The Department of Agriculture and Environmental Affairs in KwaZulu-Natal has called for urgent combative steps to address the worldwide food shortage. Food and Security Manager in the department, Zamoguhle Mkhunu, was speaking at a World Food Celebration held at Vulamehlo Municipality in southern KwaZulu-Natal. Mkhunu says the food price increment is a slap in the face of the unemployed and the poor.
Working towards eradicating the state of food insecurity in the province. We're here looking at the challenges and what still needs to be done, especially along the issue that which has been identified that food prices are ever increasing and putting pressure on beneficiaries or putting pressure on communities that are even not employed. And at this stage, under the situation of having unemployment, it's going to cause a much more severe situation.
Northwest Police are investigating a murder case following an argument between 2 suspects and a deceased in Brits. Martin Kavura was allegedly killed after an altercation with a couple. Police spokesperson Gialibua Mulale says a man and a woman are expected to appear at the Brits Magistrates Court tomorrow.
The female suspect gave the male suspect a knife to stab the deceased on the throat. It is unknown what could have led to the argument. The suspects were arrested and they will appear briefly before the Brits Magistrate Court on Monday. Investigations continues.
Moving on to international news, Muammar Gaddafi died from a gunshot wound. That's according to a doctor involved in a post-mortem on the former Libyan leader's body. The post-mortem was carried out at a morgue in the city of Misrata, east of Tripoli. Local officials say Gaddafi's body will now be taken back to the coal store in Misrata, where it has been on public display. In another development, the interim authorities in Libya will formally declare the country liberated today following the death of Colonel Gaddafi. Tens of thousands of people are expected to attend the ceremony in Libya's second city, Benghazi. The BBC's John Lane reports.
There's a mixture of wild celebration and intense relief as fighters stream home across the country. Today's ceremony will mark the end of 8 months of war and 42 years of dictatorship. Almost everyone you meet here in Benghazi has a story to tell of how they were personally affected by the brutalities of those years. Once the liberation is declared, a timetable will start, leading to the first elections in 8 months and a full democracy, it is hoped, within 2 years. It's an ambitious schedule in a country that has no institutions that were not personally controlled by Colonel Gaddafi.
And finally, New Zealanders are celebrating well into the night after the All Blacks finally won the Rugby World Cup again after 24 years. But they were very nearly disappointed yet again as the men in black only just managed to shade France by 8 points to 7 in the final at Auckland's Eden Park. The BBC's Ben Lowings reports.
The hosts, New Zealand, had been widely tipped to win the trophy for the first time since 1987, and now they've done it. The All Blacks prop Tony Woodcock scored their only try in the opening 40 minutes. But then the French captain Thierry Dusautoir went over the New Zealand line in the second half to bring the French to within 2 points of victory. But in a tough battle of the forwards, New Zealand held on to win by the narrowest margin possible.